Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. How have you been? I've been okay. I've just been super busy with some custom orders. And that actually leads me to what today's video is going to be about. I'm going to be perfecting this custom order. There's a few things that needed to be changed, but the biggest one for me was the fact that the company wanted the pattern on the coat. If you look at the reference picture, it's not like gingham or whatever. It's just like, I don't know, what do you call that pattern? I swear there's a word for it and I can't think of it. But there's like the lines or whatever, right? Originally, I honestly genuinely felt like this was simply just way out of my talents. Like, how the heck am I gonna do that? I tried sewing and embroidering different things. I tried like so many different things, and ultimately, in my opinion, it just all looked really bad, or it looked messy, or just looked silly, or just like too busy. It just didn't look right, and I got really frustrated, honestly. I really wanted to cry, scream, kick my feet, you know, all the works, but instead I decided to take a step out of my comfort zone. I used my sewing machine to make a custom coat. I literally had no hopes that I could do this. All I had was some fabric and a dream. Somehow I did make it work. This is how it turned out. Now, it's not perfect, but it works, right? I do have a sewing machine. You can kind of see it in the back there. I have it set up, but I've literally used it twice and very minimally. The most I've sewed is literally like a simple blanket, and that was like 2 years ago. I literally didn't even remember how to thread the machine. So needless to say, this was a challenge. Overall, I was incredibly proud of this. I've never sewed anything this intricate or like clothes in my life. Had no idea how to even go about it. I did watch a couple of videos of how people sewed together American Girl doll clothes just to get an idea of how they do it. But obviously American Girl dolls have a completely different body shape than my little crochet doll here. So I had to figure out how the heck to make an outfit for my little crochet figure. As I'm not gonna lie, I completely winged it. Now for the fabric, I went to Joann's and I literally just scoped out the closest pattern I could possibly find. I was actually pretty surprised to find a pattern like this close. Like, obviously it's not perfect, but it's pretty close if you ask me. If you look closely, you can tell the pattern's not completely cohesive around the separate like sections. Like, you can see where I sewed it together here and the pattern is just in a completely different direction. Genuinely way too advanced for me to try to do in my first attempt. I couldn't do it, okay? I couldn't focus on that and try to get this to come out right. That was not my main concern when I was trying to sew this together, if I'm gonna be completely honest. I didn't even bother with it. But I guess that is an important detail to the coat, so I do need to fix that and try to redo it. I want this to be perfect, or as perfect as it can be, because nobody's perfect and this is handmade. Let's stay realistic here. So yeah, we're gonna remake the coat, and like I said, I did wing this, so the only way to replicate this is to completely unassemble this, chop it into their original pieces to get a stencil or an idea of the shapes that I need, so I can then cut the fabric out in the correct direction, I guess. I only have this much fabric left, and I don't think that's enough to make the entire coat. So today's goal is to simply unassemble this coat, which yes, is gonna break my heart. So many hours of work, blood, sweat, and tears went into this. Yeah, today's goal is to unassemble and make stencils. So let's get into it. I did sew the coat on the bottom to the crochet. So first I'm gonna cut that off, I guess. That's all taken care of. I wish I could just take the belt off, but unfortunately I originally slid it over top of the body without the head sewn on, if that makes sense. So I literally can't slide this off because the hips are too wide and the head is too wide. I'm gonna have to cut that in the back, I think, and re-sew it. Oh, I got it. I think I can get away with salvaging this. We'll try. What to do next? Let me just start in the back and cut the seam. Yay. This is what the coat looks like undone. And now I basically just want to cut out all of these different sections. There's 4 sections here. No, there's 5 sections here. And I'm going to cut them all out so I can hopefully make a stencil of them. I'm going to cut off the buttons and reuse them. Why can't I undo this? Oh my goodness. Why is this sewn on so ridiculously well? Like, this is insane. Alright, I'll be back once I rip this apart because this is getting crazy. Okay, I got these 2 pieces apart. I also made some lines because I want to be able to tell where I sewed things, I guess. I don't know. I feel like that'll come in handy. I don't know if it'll be confusing. I'm already kind of confused since I did that after the fact. I'm like, what the heck did I do here? Like, I don't know. I'm just gonna keep cutting and tracing out lines, I guess. I've went ahead and completely unassembled the coat. So this is front, left, right, and these are the two back pieces. The two back pieces look terrible because I messed up and had to tighten the dress. So yeah, I'm gonna try to see if I can turn these two pieces into one piece so that it looks better, because obviously these aren't even and it, you know, doesn't look that good. So we're just gonna see if we can make this one piece in our next go around. And I'm gonna trace these out on paper to make a stencil, which hopefully that works. Now I'm going to use my stencils to trace out the pieces on the fabric. Now I'm just going to cut all these pieces out with a seam allowance. Oh my god, I hate myself. I did it again. Oh my god. I wasn't paying attention to the directions of the fabric. Are you joking? Oh my god. So I need it to be straight. This is so difficult. Okay, so I need it to be like this. Oh shoot. I have to get rid of this. This is trash. All right, I hope that's straight enough. I kind of eyeballed the straightness of it. All right, so I've sandwiched the front piece and the right piece together with the outside facing each other, if that makes sense. And now I'm just gonna sew along this line. Now I have the front piece sandwiched with the left piece, and I'm gonna sew along this line. Now we have this. I'm kind of devastated because I've realized I have to make an entire new plushie. That's because the only way I know how to make this dress snug is to completely sew the dress together and then put it over top of the body. Obviously the neck hole is way smaller than the head hole. And I honestly feel like it's less complicated for me to just crochet another doll than to figure out a different way to sew this all together. And also I feel kind of lucky because I wrapped the front, right, and left piece around the body. And these actually touch in the back without a back piece. So I might be able to like sew them together just like that and ignore the back piece altogether, which would honestly be really amazing. Now I just have to figure out how to like measure that. I'm gonna try to figure out how to do this. Okay, so what I think I'm gonna do first is clean up the edges of the top and the bottom. So I've basically folded it over on the top to give it a clean edge, and I'm gonna do the same thing for the bottom, and I'm gonna sew that edge down. Then I'm gonna sandwich these together and sew along this line, and then I just need to crochet another plushie and slip this on over top of the body without the head. And this does exclude the arms at the moment.
Oh my god! What is that?
Because I sewed on the sleeves separately, so I haven't done anything with the sleeves yet. I actually changed my mind the last time I made this. I cleaned up the bottom edges after I sewed it shut, so I think I'm just gonna do that again because I feel like that was easier. Now we have this. I'm absolutely a liar and don't know what I'm talking about because sewing the seam after it's closed shut is so hard. I feel like I did do that, but I'm about to take apart the last seam I just did and try to do the bottom because I'm struggling.
Oh, that's a good kitty, I say as I pet on Kitty.
No, I'm evil, kitty.
I remember what I did. I did something ridiculous. I sandwiched my coat with another piece of fabric and I sewed along the end and then I folded it over and made another seam. I don't know if that made any sense, but I'm doing it again because for some reason that was more work, but it made it easier for me. So let's try it. Okay, so now that I've sewed all this excess fabric on, I'm just gonna flip it over. And now I'm just gonna sew another seam across both of those layers. Here it is after I cleaned up the bottom seam. I am really thinking about it and I definitely did that part after I had it sewed together. So this is the inside of the coat and I just have all this excess. So I'm just gonna cut all of that off because we don't need that at all. All right, now it's all cleaned up and we've got this. Now I'm just gonna redo that seam on the back to close it all up. Here's the coat all sewn together. Now that just leaves us with the sleeves. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut them off. I unfortunately don't think I have enough fabric to complete the sleeves tonight, but I did get much further than my anticipated goal. So I'm not that mad about it. I am just mad that I have to go buy more fabric. Well, not mad, it's just kind of an inconvenience.
Ow, I just stabbed myself.
All right, here's one sleeve. We actually only need one of them unassembled because we're gonna make them exactly the same. This is unfortunately as much fabric as I have left, so I don't have enough to make 2 of them. I am gonna hold off until tomorrow and I'm just gonna end here. I am very happy to have exceeded my goal tonight though. I'm just really hoping that this fits. Like I said, I can't test it on this because I'm not gonna fit over the head, I'm not gonna fit over the bottom. So I'm literally just gonna crochet another one. I think that's honestly the quickest alternative because I don't know how else to do this. This is the only way I know how to do it. So I might go ahead and start crocheting another one of these dolls, and tomorrow I will be back to finish sewing the coat. Hi guys, unfortunately it's a few days later because I got snowed in. There was literally like 2 feet of snow on top of my car. So there was a few days where I just couldn't make it to the craft store to buy some more fabric. But in the meantime, I did crochet another doll. But the whole reason that I had to make another doll, in case my terrible explanation left you confused, was because I could not fit this coat over top of the head, and I could also not fit it over top of the bottom of the body. So I need the body and the head separated so that I can put it over top of the body like that. I just put the arms up like this and then put it through like this, and it goes over just fine. Yeah, it's not on all the way, but trust me, it goes on with a little bit of force. But all I have to do now is sew the sleeves and some other small little details as well as assemble. I do have a partially unassembled sleeve from the last doll. I'm going to use this as a stencil to cut out 2 more sleeves. Here are my 2 sleeves. Now I just have to sew them together. Here are the sleeves all sewn and on the doll. We have some loose ends here that I have to deal with. Did forget in the last time I made him that they wanted the little sleeve details. I'm actually going to try to make those right now and maybe like glue them on with some fabric glue and then like sew around it maybe. We'll see. I gotta play around with it because it's the first time I'm attempting it, so we're just gonna see what looks good. Thankfully, I already have some gray felt on hand. Okay, so it actually took me 4 freaking ever to get to this point. I still have to sew the 4 buttons on, which I wish I did that before sewing it onto the body, but I'll figure it out. It took me the longest to do these details. They're not perfect, but I do like how they came out. I used felt and I just used some fabric glue to glue it down a little bit, and then I went around and sewed around the edges. But yeah, I'm really tired now and have to get ready for bed, so I'm gonna continue working on it tomorrow. I was kind of hoping to get a little bit further than this, but I think I'll be able to finish it tomorrow. Fingers crossed. Hi guys, it's the next day. I do not know what I just sewed on the handkerchief just now, but I did because I still have yet to sew the buttons on. I did pin them in place with some pins to make sure that they were even, and now I guess I'm just gonna mess around with it and try to get them sewn on. All right, I'm really hating myself right now. I went ahead and finished everything, so I thought I went ahead and re-looked at the notes. There was more stuff I needed to change. Definitely should have double checked that. I need to make the headband brown instead of black, so I gotta chop that off. I'm gonna attempt to make the collar with this checkered pattern, so I'm gonna attempt to sew that. Is that it? It definitely hurts a little because I was so excited thinking I was finished. So let's just go ahead and chop this off. Actually, like, this is really on there good. All right, I'm just gonna have to like chop this as close as I can and then tuck it into the head because I don't know what else to do. It is way too secure. I do not know how to take it out. Now we've got an atrocious mess on both sides of the head. I guess I'm just gonna try to tuck the last little black bits inside of the head. Okay, that fix didn't take me too long. I don't know if you can tell the difference, but it is now brown instead of black. Now the next part is a little bit tricky. I have no idea how I'm going to add the fabric to the collar. Most likely I'm going to have to take it off. But I feel like sewing the collar on when it's fabric would have been much easier if I did that prior to sewing the body and the head together. What to do, what to do. I've come to the conclusion that I'm gonna need to cut the collar off. My major concern is that I tied together 2 yarn tails, one being the one that sewed the body and the head together, and the other being one of the collar tails together. So I sewed those 2 together and they're already all tucked in. So once I cut off the collar, that means that the yarn tail that I used to sew the head and the body together will not be tied to anything, and it's just inside the head. So I don't know what to do there. We're just gonna go ahead and cut it off. We'll figure it out, I guess. All right, the collar's off. I really hope this is a strand from the collar. I guess I'm gonna try to use this as a stencil to cut out my own collar. Well, except this is stretchy and the fabric not so much. I don't know, we're just gonna wing it, okay? I do not know what was just going on with my sewing machine, but it malfunctioned for like 20 minutes. I finally figured it out. I made this. I didn't even fully pop these little corners out because I realized it's way too small. I used the original collar as like a stencil, but like crochet is a bit more stretchy than fabric, which I know I knew, but I don't know. We were just testing this out first. So back to the drawing board, I guess. I wrapped this scrap piece of fabric around the neck to try to kind of measure out how long it should be. That's the method we're gonna do next, I guess. All right, this is definitely not perfect, but I think it is the correct size this time. It definitely fits comfortable around the neck. Now I just have to see what it looks like on and figure out how to sew it on. I freaking did it. I did it. I did it. By no means is it perfect, but I mean, I don't sew, so this was really hard. I literally triple checked the notes to make sure I wasn't forgetting or missing anything, and I think I got everything. So now it's time to send them some pictures and make sure that they like it too. Wish me luck.